Hello everyone, it's Yvonne back to do your bonus read. I've lost a little bit of the, this is the Millennium Thoth. I've lost a little bit of the remembering what decks are which. Millennium Thoth. That looks like that. Okay. It's funny because, 2 weeks off and I had time to do so many things, but I feel like so much happened in the world over the last 2 weeks. All the changes and things that are going on, and so much around the world is sort of like really full on at the moment. It's quite interesting. And I guess I've been more conscious of them because I've been around people who've been, talking about what's going on and watching the news and things like that. And I've sort of distracted myself for so long because I found it so overwhelming emotionally. But I've stabilized myself quite a lot, so I can listen to other people talk about things now without taking it on board. And I've been able to now separate myself from things. So it's quite interesting seeing things going on in the world that perhaps I've been oblivious to for some time. All right. It really does make a difference when you start to shed or start to understand your empathy and your deep awareness, but not feeling scared to sort of be around it anymore. It used to frighten me because I would take it all on board and it would really stress me out and drag me down. But now it's like, So I realize how much I've grown as well. All right. So I've let go of a lot of fear. Let's have a look and see what's going on in the bonus world. Well, there we go. Death and rebirth. Card of Scorpio, that deep energy, that deep dream. And I don't know if everybody else has been having a lot of dreams lately, but I can certainly say that my dreams have been very vivid and almost on the verge of like being quite sort of confronting. And I feel like some of this stuff is still coming to the surface for many of us. And when I see the Death card, I feel it's really important to embrace the changes that you're feeling at a deeper level, letting go of things when the Death card comes around. It's being prepared to make those changes. But I always say the Death card can come around at a time when we are not prepared for change, or it can be that something is changing beyond our control, but learning to embrace that and roll with it rather than fighting against it. So I feel that's really strong there. Look, 8 of Pentacles coming through. So for some of you, this change may be becoming evident in your workplace. There may be an energy of starting to realize that perhaps what you've been doing or the direction you've been heading in isn't right for you anymore, and there needs to be a change of direction. And that change is coming as a result of something here. I feel like with this sort of Death card, it feels to me like something, it's not like it's beyond your control. It doesn't feel like that, but what it feels like is that you are being pushed to either embrace the new stage of your life or embrace something that you were meant to do rather than what you're currently doing. It's calling you here. It's calling you to make that change. And I feel like with the 8 of Wands, this may be coming quite rapidly, because we have the Justice card coming through as well. All right, 7 of Cups. Now, what it feels like to me, and we have the Ego, is a very similar energy to the What's Cracking reading coming through here. Let's just work backwards. I'm going to go one more card. So we have the 7 of Swords coming through. There is some sort of energy here, especially with the Devil card. It could be that you have been trapped in a way of thinking for so long that you haven't really understood. And this may have created a lot of heartache for you. But the 7 of Swords tells me that you've been deceiving yourself for a long time through sort of this illusion, this ego illusion here. Because something is being brought back into perspective here. And I feel like for some of you, this change is happening either in your work life, your career, or your life path. So respect of the What's Cracking reading, I feel like this one is sort of moving in a slightly different direction. It's almost like for some of you, you've fulfilled something to do with your work or your career, and now you may be looking for, or you feel like you're looking for the next phase, but it really feels to me like it's the universe calling you to what you are meant to be doing rather than where you are. So it's like it's either giving you either are shedding parts of yourself that haven't been confident enough to follow something up, or confident enough to follow what you felt you wanted to do, but because you're letting go of the ego now, you're becoming more focused on what you're meant to be doing. It's sort of pulling away. So what it feels like here, and there is nothing about money here, so it's got to be to do with your inner workings, your inner faith, your inner self. It's like perhaps you've been doing something for so long in the security and stability of a particular career, for example, and now you're starting to see that that has fulfilled its time. You are no longer sort of pulling forth what you wanted from that. So, for example, you may have been doing that particular role because it was giving you good money, but now it's not satisfying you at the deeper level. You want something more. It's not fulfilling your soul. So it's like you want to move on to the next phase, and the universe is pulling you in that direction. And what have you been doing up until now has been part of your ego development. So, for example, you could have followed a career because of what your family pressured you to do, or you may have gone into a particular career because it was, something that you could do with your family or from home, but everything's changing now. And it's like you're being called to something new. So let's see where it's going. I feel this is more like life path than just general earthly direction. So I have the Ace of Cups coming through first, which I think is really beautiful because we saw this in the What's Cracking reading. The Ace of Cups represents pure love, true love. Now, it can represent love of self, it can represent love of others, it can represent a new family, a new start, a new beginning, but it's based in love. So maybe now that you're shedding the ego side of yourself, or starting to understand how the ego plays a part, and it lives alongside of you, you don't get rid of it. It never goes anywhere. The ego is a part of who you are. And a lot of the ego we need to have because it helps and keeps us safe. And it has been a survival mechanism for many of us, but it's also been a deterrent or a block, or a fence or a boundary where you could have gone further but you never trusted. You hear it from people all the time. When I say to people, what stops you from taking up a new career, and they say I'm too old, and I think you're 40. You have your whole life ahead of you. Why are you worried about starting something new? There are some great people in our world that didn't start new things until they were in their 60s and 70s. So don't ever be scared of starting something new. But I feel like this Ace of Cups is showing that you're breaking through that energy of thinking, of feeling that you can't do something because you are blocked by something within your ego. Maybe somebody told you that, that's the way it would be after you turned a certain age. But it's stuck with you and it stopped you moving forward. And this level of self-love, this brand new start for you that shows this level of love, is really starting to show that you love yourself. So you're not holding back anymore, because instead of going, well, okay, there's a risk there, what you're doing is you're saying, I know how to mitigate that risk. Or if that particular thing occurs, I know how to stand up for myself or look after myself. So you're not scared anymore. And it looks as though for some of you, this may be a big change in your career, your work. It could be in relationship, but I'm feeling it's more life path, or going after something on your life path. We have the Victory card. These two cards came out in the What's Cracking reading as well, and the Four of Swords. So 3 of these 4 cards. It's funny how a theme can be so strong, and I know many of you will write to me now and say you've had similar cards in your readings. This energy that's coming through here is now about the decision. It's about the decision to move into what you are being drawn to rather than what you have been accustomed to. Oh, I like that. I like that. So it's like you are starting to understand that the universe has so much more for you planned, so much more that you can work towards here. You're not stuck where you thought you were stuck because of safety. It's sort of like what Spirit is saying and showing me here is sort of like maybe you couldn't swim. Maybe you've never been able to swim, and maybe you've got to the point in your life where you're thinking, I'm too old to try it now, or I'm so scared of water, or I'm scared of drowning. Maybe you had an experience in the past, but it's like, you know, this fear of drowning or fear of not being able to swim has held you back because, you know, maybe you don't go on cruises because of that. Maybe you don't like to go to the beach because of that. So you've held yourself back. But in doing that, you may have held back other aspects in your life too. And it's like now that you've learned to swim, you can go and do fantastic things. Maybe you've become a champion swimmer that you never knew that you had in you before. Maybe your ability to swim is so incredible that maybe you're going to teach others how to swim now, or teach others to get past the fear of it. But whatever's happening here, it's this huge turnaround, this huge change that you're going through. All right, so we have the High Priestess with the Prince of Wands. This card jumped out at me when I was shuffling. And the Four of Wands. I feel like now that you're starting to trust your intuition, or starting to trust that part of yourself that you've kept hidden away or not felt that you could trust because of your ego. And remember, your ego is always going to tell you to mistrust because it's trying to keep you safe. So, you know, sometimes that's a good thing. So if somebody was trying to take money off you for some grand scheme and your ego was saying, don't do this, don't go towards this, then that would have been saving you from something that was not good for you. But what I feel like here is that you're starting to discern or understand when something is right or wrong. Now, I know for many of you, if you've been, if you're very empathic, if you've become a person, if you've been a person who's been worried about conflict, sometimes you would have got talked into doing things that you didn't want to do. You know, the salesman at the door selling you a brand new vacuum cleaner when your vacuum cleaner is really good, but you end up buying the vacuum cleaner anyway. And it's like you're starting to discern now. You're starting to feel really confident about saying, actually, that doesn't suit me. I don't need a vacuum cleaner, full stop. And you won't let anybody push you across the line anymore. And there's a real feeling here of understanding how to gain stability within yourself because of that. So there's a beautiful energy of you finding this passion that you have maybe never really known. So some of you here will go and write that book because you've always thought that you couldn't do that or that it wasn't possible. Maybe for others of you, you may decide to go and buy a home because, you didn't want to do that before just in case you lost your job. It's like that you're not seeing it through your ego anymore and your fears anymore. You're seeing this through your passion, and it's bringing in a greater sense of stability because you're not worrying about what the outcome would be. You're not worrying about where it's going to go. You're understanding the pros and cons of it, and you're making an informed decision. And this is bringing around a lot of stability here. We have fours sitting here. So you're rebuilding something, but you're building it on a stronger foundation this time. All right, so I have the Nine of Pentacles coming through with the Two of Cups. Now, for some of you, this could be about partnership in work, but for others, I may be talking about building a relationship. When you go into a relationship and you have all these ego fears, these past trust fears, these fears about what's happened in the past, it is very difficult for you to build with someone here. But with this Nine of Pentacles here, it's telling me that you are now feeling complete and whole within yourself. So building with somebody else is a very different thing this time, because you're not looking at all the things that can go wrong. You are looking at everything in a very different way. That's not saying things won't go the right way or that things won't go wrong sometimes. What it's saying here is that you now have the power of stability through trusting this self-love that you've learned to help you rebuild something new. And I feel like for some of you, it may be new love here. We also have a love offer on the table here with the Prince of Cups. So some of you definitely moving into a new relationship, but this time around you're trusting yourself. Maybe you're not becoming you're not going in with your ego. Let's just dig a little deeper here. Okay, so I have the change coming through with the Death card. I feel like for many of you, this is about work, partnership, your own business, starting a new career. I do see things moving very, very quickly because there seems to have been some sort of illusion, ego illusion coming through here that may have caused you pain in the past because it's created some sort of energy within you that is not true. I feel like it's like, you get attacked by a dog and bitten by a dog, and then you become really fearful of all dogs then. You don't, totally threw half the deck on the floor then. So there is something in this. I'll come up for air. But for some unknown reason, I've thrown all these cards out. So let's have a look. Knight of Cups, Knight of Pentacles, Hanged Man, Five of Wands, Six of Pentacles, Eight of Swords, Knight of Wands with the Star. Well, there's a lot of cards here that came up in the What's Cracking reading. So I feel like almost just a real validation of what we've seen before. I feel like for some of you, though, this is heading towards something brand new, whether that is a relationship, a new career, a new job. But this time you're understanding how to not let your fears hold you back. Like you're embracing something new here. So it could be as simple as, perhaps you've worried about getting out there and doing something, but now it's sort of like nothing is holding you back here. You're definitely creating with the universe and letting go of inner conflict here. Definitely. I feel like the anxiety that you felt up until now that's held you back from taking a big jump. I almost feel like for some of you, it may be something like traveling overseas. Maybe you've always felt that it was a risk to travel overseas and you've always wanted to go, but you've held yourself back because you felt, maybe if you travel overseas, something could possibly happen. Maybe something happened to somebody around you and now you've sort of made that a risk that you don't want to take. But I see you jumping into all of this here. It's like you are, weighing up the risk, but not letting the risk hold you back if it's something that you would want to risk. I mean, obviously you're not going to jump off the edge of a cliff because you know that risk, that's where your ego becomes really important to you. But it's like you are starting to understand here how to take risks on doing something new. Maybe it's really simple as approaching somebody. I hear people say all the time these old-fashioned views, like, I can't ask somebody out on a date, I'm a woman and he's a man. Those sort of old-fashioned ideas are sort of going by the wayside. That's your ego holding you back. Okay. We'll read you a White Light Oracle here. Oh, there it is. Garuda Sapana. I love the look of that card. $42. Cultivate confidence in yourself. You have the inner spiritual power to deal wisely and effectively with any situation. Don't allow anyone to take advantage of your kind nature. Reflect upon what action feels best for you to take and then follow through with decisiveness. Do not allow negativity to get a grip in your life. Positive energy and outcomes are indicated. So this is definitely really sort of reflecting the reading here. You can't hold back because you don't trust yourself. You can't hold back because somebody else might tell you you would fail. So it is definitely a good card to... And they talk about spreading your arms like wings, as though you could fly around the room. I just read this little bit because it says Garuda has the mystical power to grow or shrink depending on what is needed to accomplish his heroic tasks. By becoming large enough to block the sun and cause thunderstorms just by flapping his wings, to becoming small enough to hide in a crevice to craftily avoid capture, Garuda teaches us when to step up and shine bright and bold and when to fly under the proverbial radar. The oracle of Garuda Supana is a talisman of divine protection and soul-smart strategy. Garuda is a wild spirit, free and instinctive. His is the wisdom and empowerment needed to rise above negativity, not from avoidance, but from a place of wisdom and clarity. This oracle guides you to rely on your instincts and be true to your heart. In doing so, you may not always look like a perfect person from the outside, but you are proceeding in resonance with your own heart wisdom. So that was an absolutely beautiful card to get with the reading. Thank you.